Alright, so I know a lot of you are probably wondering where are my reviews for Tenet and the New Mutants, and by the way guys, do not worry, I will be seeing Bill and Ted Face the Music very soon. I'll have that video up either Sunday or Monday, but just in case you guys want to know, I'll have a review for that up soon. In terms of why I haven't done a video on the New Mutants or Tenet, simple reason why is I haven't seen them, and that's also because my local theaters are still shut down. I could drive down almost an hour to go see Tenet in an amazing IMAX theater. However, where that IMAX theater is close to the epicenter, or one of the epicenters of the COVID-19 pandemic. And I'd rather not risk my life. I'm gonna wait just a little bit longer to see if my theaters do open up anytime soon. But in the meantime, I saw this, and I want to talk about it.
Blowing like cold wind. Maybe this is how it was always going to end.
So I'm thinking of Ending Things as a new horror film brought to us by writer-director Charlie Kaufman. And in I'm thinking of Ending Things, we follow a couple. They've been seeing each other for about a month, played by Jesse Plemons and Jessie Buckley. And I don't want to say too much. The two of them are going to a farmhouse where Jesse Plemons' character's parents live. And this car ride followed by this dinner visit. It's very eerie. It's very tense. And let's just say when they get to the farmhouse, it gets weird. Alrighty guys, so let's get into I'm Thinking of Ending Things. So when I first heard about this movie, there were only two things that I knew. One of them being that Charlie Kaufman had written and directed it, and those of you who know me personally, I haven't been the biggest Charlie Kaufman fan. I mean, I love his screenplays, I love the writing, and I love the cinematography, the dramatic quality in his movies. But otherwise, I wasn't a fan of Eternal Sunshine, and I was not a big fan of Anomalisa. In fact, I found the two of them kind of overrated, and in fact, I do find them overrated. But this was a movie that I was looking forward to from him specifically because it's a psychological horror film. And knowing the psychology of Charlie Kaufman's films, I was looking forward to this film mainly to see him taking a deep dive into what this film could have been for the genre. And I saw this movie, and man, I gotta tell you guys, I really dug this movie a lot. So first of all, starting off, the performances in this movie are fantastic from Jessie Buckley, Jesse Plemons, David Thewlis, and also Toni Collette. If I were to give my standout, easily it's Jessie Buckley. Not only does she just give a great performance, but watching her body language. Within the moment that she sits down in her boyfriend's car, Jesse Plemons' car, you can just tell that she does not want to be there. I mean, she even says it in the opening voiceover in this movie when she sits down in that car. She just feels so uncomfortable throughout this ride. I mean, that's at least what I got from this movie and from her acting, but Jessie Buckley is so good. Like, there's this feeling that I got from her uncomfortability. You do feel the sense of, I'm really uncomfortable, I don't want to be there. And Jessie Buckley in general in this movie is absolutely terrific. Also, Jesse Plemons, I mean, he is really good as well. I mean, you know him as Todd from Breaking Bad, so I don't need to introduce you guys to Jesse Plemons unless you haven't seen Breaking Bad. Watch it, please. But also, I really have to talk about David Thewlis and Toni Collette, which, by the way, Toni Collette still not over the fact that she didn't win for Hereditary, that she wasn't nominated, just saying. Jesse Plemons says, well, my parents aren't well. And man, they sell it really, really well. I mean, especially Toni Collette. I mean, there are a couple of scenes throughout this movie, especially in that second act, where Jessie Buckley is talking to them. And the look that David Thewlis and Toni Collette are giving her, I was legit terrified. Something else that I do want to talk about as well is this. This movie is marketed as a horror film, as more of a psychological horror film. And this is what I will say. I don't think this film was particularly scary. I mean, there are definitely a couple of really creepy and scary images, do not get me wrong. But this film, more than anything, is a very eerie film. It's a very tense film, and this film is full of atmosphere. And given how this film takes place, I want to say for about 95 to 98% of it in a blizzard, that only makes those feelings even more so. That feeling of tension did not go away until the end of the movie. The tension is only tightening even more so, and by the end, I feel like the tension wasn't even gone. Like, it was still there even when it ended. Do not get me wrong, there are definitely a couple of images throughout this film, two in particular where I was just like, what the fuck? What this film's horror comes from more of like, is really more in the atmosphere and the vibe that it gives off. It's a very tense film throughout the entire film, particularly in the conversations that these characters are having more than anything. The deep dives psychologically that these characters were having. Now, I don't want to get into these dives too much. Definitely just put me on edge, but in really the best way possible. Something else that I'll praise about this movie is that this movie is weird and it's out there, and it doesn't apologize for that. I was definitely in. I was in it for the first two acts, and kind of sort into the third act. I'll get into that a little bit. Also, another thing that I have to praise about this movie is the cinematography. Holy crap, this movie looks absolutely amazing. This is a movie that from the moment it starts, I was just absorbed onto the screen alone by the cinematography. The way that Charlie Kaufman and his DP capture these images. Now, I mentioned this beforehand, something that I love about Charlie Kaufman's films is that there's a very dreamlike quality. And knowing that this film is a horror film only makes the images just seem that much more frightening to me. This is a very haunting looking movie. In the blizzard environments in the background, I feel like only add on to that feeling even more so. Also, another thing I gotta praise is the music. Now, there isn't a lot of a score in this movie, but when it's there, it's a very underlying theme that just creeps up, and I'm not gonna lie, a couple of times I got some goosebumps. Now, unfortunately, as much as I really dug this movie, I wanted to love it, but I didn't love it. This is a movie that, I'm not gonna lie, if you're not paying attention from the very start until the very end, like, if you're not paying full 100% attention to this movie throughout it, like, let's just say if you leave the movie for a couple of minutes while it's still playing and you come back, I feel like you're gonna miss a lot of information, especially in a 5-minute span. Now, something else that I will say is this, and I mentioned this beforehand, the third act of this movie has a really beautifully done sequence. In the first act and the second act, I was all in this movie. I was into the more weirder aspects of this movie, and I was in all the conversation, the deep psychological dives this movie was taking me on to. But then, in the third act, something happens, and I'm not gonna spoil it, even though it was really fucking cool. At the same time, I just couldn't help but think, unless if I missed something, then I don't understand the point of why this is in there. I understand that when you're adapting a book to a movie, you can't really adapt everything. After I ended watching this movie, I looked at the book synopsis online, and I saw what happens in the final chapter. I really, really wish that what happened there was in this movie, because there is a reveal that blew my damn mind. This movie definitely, I mean, it definitely will not be for everybody. This movie is a straight up slow burn, but the way how it came off to me, I was in it. Even I can admit, within the first act and the first 20 minutes, it's a bunch of conversations, and I could see a lot of people being bored and turning this movie off. The movie does test your patience, but if you can stick with it, I feel like it does pay off for the most part. So overall, I'm thinking of Ending Things is a weird movie, it's a strange movie, and it's a movie that is out there. However, it is also very eerie, it is tense, and it is full of atmosphere, and I really, really dug it a lot. It's not gonna be for everybody, but for me personally, it got under my skin. I haven't stopped thinking about it, and I thought it was really, really good. But all in all, I am thinking of Ending Things, a 4 to 5 stars. It's a movie that takes you on a deep psychological dive of very haunting themes, and it's a movie that I have not stopped thinking about ever since I saw it a couple of days ago. Alrighty guys, so comment down and let me know below. Have you guys seen this movie? What did you guys think? Or are you looking forward to this movie? Let me know below. If you guys want to follow me on social media, I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. I'm also on Snapchat and Stardust. So if you guys want to follow me on all those social media platforms, all the links and the usernames are in the description below. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of I'm Thinking of Ending Things. If so, please hit that like button, also subscribe, and do not forget to hit that notification bell for whenever the latest video of mine goes live. If you guys want to see any of my previous 2 videos, please click either right there or there. And of course, until my next video, I will see you guys next time.